Every hero in this show is a real person, a real kid. And this story, every bit of it, really happened. I want you to close your eyes for a second. Ready? Imagine you're standing on a little boat, just a little one, and all around you, in every direction, front, back, left, right, there's water, blue water, all the way to the edge of the sky. No land, no houses, no roads, no other people, just you and your boat and the great big ocean. Now, imagine it's night. The sky fills up with more stars than you've ever seen. The waves rock you up and down, up and down. And you're the only person for miles and miles and miles. Would that be scary? Maybe a little. But there was a girl who felt something else besides fear. Out on that huge, quiet ocean, all alone, she felt happy. She felt free. She felt like she was exactly where she was supposed to be. Her name is Laura Dekker. And this is the story of how she sailed a little red boat all the way around the whole entire world, all by herself, when she was still a kid. To understand Laura, you have to know one funny, wonderful thing about her. See, most kids are born in a house or in a hospital, but not Laura. Laura was born on a boat. Her mom and dad loved sailing so much that they spent 7 whole years sailing around the world together. And right in the middle of that big adventure, on the other side of the planet in a country called New Zealand, baby Laura came along, with the ocean rocking gently all around her. So Laura didn't have to learn to love boats. She loved them from her very first day. The sea wasn't a scary place to her. The sea was home. By the time she was 6 years old, Laura had her very own little boat. Can you imagine that? Some kids have a bike. Laura had a boat. And she practiced and practiced and practiced. She learned which way to turn the sail when the wind blew. She learned how to read the clouds and the waves. And when she was 10 years old, about the age some of you might be, Laura sailed the boat all by herself for the very first time. She would later say something about how the ocean made her feel. She said, "As soon as I get on my boat, something inside me changes." Yeah, that's how much she loved it. Now, when Laura was still very young, a dream started growing inside her. A giant one. She didn't just want to sail on the ocean. She wanted to sail all the way around the world, around the whole planet. And she wanted to do it alone. Stop and think about how big that is. To sail around the world, you cross ocean after ocean after ocean. You're out there for months. You're the captain and the cook. You fix your own boat when something breaks. You steer through storms with giant waves, and you sit through days so calm and still that the boat barely moves at all. And the whole time, nobody is coming to help you. It's just you. Grown-up sailors, strong, grown men and women, find that hard. And here was a young girl, not even a teenager yet, saying, "I want to do that by myself." And here's the thing. Laura wasn't just dreaming. She was ready to work for it. She knew boats better than most grown-ups ever will. She had been getting ready her whole life. So she made up her mind. She was going to sail around the world. There was just one problem she didn't see coming. The problem was this. A lot of grown-ups thought Laura was too young. And I want to be honest with you, because this is a true story. These grown-ups, they weren't being mean. Sailing around the world alone is really dangerous. So, some very serious grown-ups, including judges, the people whose job it is to make big decisions, got worried. They said, "She's only a kid. What if something happens to her out there, all alone? We can't allow that." So, they told Laura no. She was not allowed to go. Imagine how that felt. Laura had trained her whole life. She knew she was ready. And now grown-ups who had never even sailed a boat were telling her she couldn't try. Laura thought that was so unfair, but telling her no didn't make the dream go away. If anything, it made her want it more. She was so determined that at one point, she even tried to slip away before anyone said she could, which, of course, worried all the grown-ups even more. And they brought her right back home. Then came the long part, the really, really long part. To decide whether Laura could go, there were court meetings, and more court meetings, and more. It went on and on for almost a whole year. Doctors talked to her. Judges asked questions over and over. The grown-ups tried to decide, is Laura really ready? And through all of it, month after month after month, Laura never gave up. She had a way of thinking about it that I love. Laura once said, "You don't have to know that you can do something. You just have to try." Listen to that again, because it's the whole heart of this story. You don't have to be sure you'll win. You don't have to be sure you can do it. You just have to be brave enough to try. Eventually, there was a decision. Laura got word. It was one day in the summer. After all those months, after all those meetings, the judges, they made their final decision. They said, yes, Laura could go. The grown-ups agreed to let her parents decide, and her parents said she was ready. The door swung open. The dream was real. Laura was going to sail around the world. And she was only 14 years old. Laura had a boat all ready for the trip, and oh, what a boat it was. It was bright, bright red. It had 2 tall masts to hold up the sails, and it had the best name a boat has ever had. She called it Guppy, like a tiny, happy little fish. So, on a summer day, Laura climbed aboard Guppy. A crowd of people came down to the harbor to wave goodbye. Family, friends, people who had followed her story and were cheering for her. And then, Laura pointed her little red boat toward the open water and set off. Picture it, the people on the dock getting smaller and smaller behind her, the land slowly disappearing, and ahead of her, nothing but ocean, and the whole wide world waiting to be sailed around. It was the beginning of the biggest adventure of her life. Now, Laura was really doing it, all alone on the great big ocean. And I want you to know what that was actually like, the amazing parts and the hard parts, because there were both. Some days were like a dream. The sea would be calm and shining. Dolphins would leap and race alongside Guppy, so close Laura could almost touch them. Flying fish would zip over the waves. And at night, oh, the nights, with no city lights anywhere, the sky filled up with 1,000,000 stars, and the ocean sparkled, and it was so quiet you could hear your own heart. But other days were hard, really hard. Storms would come, and the wind would howl, and the waves would grow tall as a house and toss little Guppy up and down and side to side. On days like that, Laura couldn't call anyone. She couldn't ask a grown-up for help. She had to be brave and remember everything she had ever learned and keep her little boat safe all by herself. And she did, again and again. She was the captain. She steered the boat. She fixed the boat when things broke. She cooked her own food. She figured out which way to go using the sun and the stars. And when she got sleepy, she could only sleep a little bit at a time because someone had to watch the sea. She sailed past islands with giant tortoises. She crossed one whole ocean and then another and then another. She saw parts of the world most grown-ups never ever see. And little by little, one ocean at a time, Laura sailed her little red boat almost all the way around the entire planet. And then, after more than a year at sea, one morning, Laura looked out at the horizon and she saw land. And not just any land. She saw the shape of the islands near a place called St. Maarten in the warm blue Caribbean Sea. And her heart must have jumped. Because she knew those islands. She had sailed past them at the very beginning, which meant only one thing. Laura had done it. She had gone all the way around the world and came back to where she started. As Guppy sailed closer, Laura could see the harbor, and the harbor was full of people. A big, cheering crowd had come out to welcome her home. There were even kids holding up a sign for her. And on the 21st of January in the year 2012, Laura Dekker sailed her little red boat back into that harbor and finished her trip around the whole entire world. She was 16 years old, and she had just become the youngest person ever to sail all the way around the world all by herself. A dream that grown-ups said was too big. A girl they said was too young. But she did it anyway. So, what do you do after you've sailed around the whole world? What could possibly be next? Here's what Laura did. She went back to New Zealand, the country where she was born, out on the water all those years before. It felt like home. And then she decided to share the thing she loved most. Laura became a sailing teacher. She started helping other young people learn to sail, to feel the wind, to steer a boat, to be brave out on the water, just like she had learned to be. She even wrote a book about her adventure so that kids everywhere could read her story. It's called One Girl, One Dream. And that title says it all, doesn't it? One girl, one dream, and the courage to chase it. Because Laura knew something now. She knew that a big dream isn't too big just because you're small. She had proof. She was the proof. So here's what I want you to carry with you from Laura Dekker's true story. Sometimes you have a dream that feels enormous, so big that grown-ups might say, "You're too little for that." So big that even you might wonder, wait, can I really do that? And here's the secret Laura figured out. You don't have to be sure. You don't have to already know that you can do it. Remember her words? You don't have to know that you can do something. You just have to try. Now, Laura also worked incredibly hard for years and years to be ready. Being brave and being prepared go together like two sails on the same boat. But when the moment came and everyone said the dream was too big, she didn't let the word no be the end of her story. She pointed her little red boat at the horizon and she tried. And Laura sailed straight into the history books. This has been an episode of The Kid Who, where every hero is a real kid. Everything in today's episode came from true accounts of Laura Dekker and her voyage around the world aboard Guppy. Grown-ups, you'll find all of our sources in the show notes. We'll see you next time for another episode of The Kid Who. And remember, you don't have to know that you can. You just have to try.